Hey everybody, Gil here with the Sailing Vessel Dream Chaser. And in last week's episode, we went ahead and primed and prepped the tow rails for the Brightwork. This week, we're going to do a little bit of work on inspecting underneath the battery box, getting some more primer on, and we may just enjoy a little birthday celebration. Come join us. I decided to go ahead and come inside and take a look at something I started a couple of weeks ago. If you remember, I removed the batteries, those giant 8D batteries out of here. I've been taking one out every couple of weeks just slowly because they're heavier than shit, I'm sorry. But when I was taking them out, I noticed underneath the galley seating area, I noticed the floor seemed a little weak. So I thought, well, when I get these all out of here before I build a new house bank box, I really want to check it out. So I just pulled out the subflooring here. I'll show you what this looks like. So to orient ourselves, right here's the galley coach house area, this L-shaped seating and the table. The table's just lowered right now with all our stuff on it. Let me step in here and show you. I'm going to try and get down nice and low. Look at those stringers. You reckon they're rotted? That's really concerning. Right here is a good solid member, and that's strong. But these, they're not even connected to anything. Completely rotted, along with the inside of this. You can see where it was wet. So I suspect all those years of this coach house leaking, some of that wooden framework rotted. The big question is, what's going to be the best way to sort of solve for this? I'm thinking I might actually put in a bulkhead, kind of going fore and aft, and glass it, tab it down into the hull, and then into some structures up top, and then put new beams in there, new stringers, which would help hold this up, as well as, you know, the battery box or whatever's going to be right there. The good news is all of the flooring over here, you know, around the engine structure and everything else is solid as can be. So it must all be tied to this very massive member going across right here. You can see the thickness of it. It's a good 6 inches wide and solid. But that also forms what holds up the back of this seating area and what holds up the aft side of the engine compartment. And you can see I just have 2x12 sitting there right now while the engine is, you know, exposed for new fuel lines. So, as I've said many times in these videos, there's some contemplation here. And I think I may kind of clean this up a little bit and take a bit of a break. Go wash up, you know, another boat bite. We call these jabs, J-A-B-B, just another boat bite. It seems it happens all the time. So, what to do?
I just watched Eduardo and Lizbeth's live stream on Instagram. It's so cool to see them having been inspired and buying a boat and are already down in the Caribbean. You guys are an inspiration. I know the boat needs some work, but man, one project at a time and just keep smiling. You know, it's been fun watching you. See you, Lizbeth. See you, Eduardo.
But I gotta tell you, I found something cool. While I was out of the store running around, I'm like, you know, it really sounds good. It's like a Jamaican patty or something. I need my island time fix. So I found this little place in New Orleans, not too far from the store I was running to near the boatyard, a Jamaican cafe. Everything from curried goat and oxtail and, you know, all the stuff that just sounds horrible, but it absolutely brings back memories of us spending some time in Jamaica and loved it. Check it out. So this is way more than I can eat here, but just to show you, rice and what they call pigeon peas, which are really beans, a roasted pork with jerk sauce. Callaloo is a green, kind of like a mustard green. They pan fried it with some onions and sweet plantains. Way more than I can eat, but I'll be taking this home and it'll be dinner and probably lunch again tomorrow. But they have Ting. I love Ting. I haven't had soda in almost 2.5 years now since I lost the weight, but I'm giving myself a treat, and I'm drinking a little bit of Ting. It's a grapefruit soda, but it's phenomenal. It's actually delicious in rum. A few too many days on the beach and poolside in Jamaica, we started experimenting. So it's been a lot of little work projects today. What I'm going to do right now is I just ran to the store. I grabbed some more sandpaper, some extension cord, a bunch of little supplies I needed. And now I'm going to adjust the boat. I'm going to let the back end swing way out and pull the nose in along a couple of fenders so that the bowsprit goes up over the edge of the dock. I'm going to go ahead and rough sand that. I've already sanded it down a long time ago, but I need to get it, you know, it's been weathered, right? So you just get it back down to the nice teak wood, and I'm going to put a coat of primer on that as well. It's starting to look like it might rain, so I don't think I'm going to put any more down on the rails. If it happens to rain and the bowsprit gets wet, I'll be disappointed. I'll have to sand and do it again tomorrow, but I'd like to at least get that done so tomorrow I can put the first coat of clear on everything that I primed today. If I get here really early in the morning, I'm hoping it's not quite as blazing hot like it is now. Well, my guess is that my noise-canceling mic probably won't pick up the thunder I hear in the background, but interestingly enough, it's starting. So I'm still going to go ahead and get this sanded. I just won't put the primer down. And you can see here how I did this. I just essentially put a spring line on here and pivot it on this this large fender right down here, and it lets me really get right to the bowsprit here. So this is a lot more comfortable to work on compared to what it was on a scaffold when I was standing on top of an 8-foot ladder. So let's get this sanded down again. That we probably heard. Get what it's starting to look like skywise here. A little patch of blue right here, but on both sides of it, it's certainly around us. I'm not be able to see it too well from this angle. I just rinsed off the deck of the boat. It looks pretty good. I'm trying to keep it clean after I walk on it each day. You walk on this dirty ground out here, and then walk on the nice white deck, and it's pretty obvious when it looks like crapola. But I did a couple of interesting things up here. In addition to sanding the bowsprit, let me kind of show you. You see that little spacer piece right in there? That thing had been a little bit loose, and I wanted to adhere it back up there. What I ended up doing with this is I put some thickened epoxy on it, and you can kind of see little pieces of wood underneath it. They're just there holding it in place while it cures. So tomorrow morning when I come back, I'll be able to pull those little spacers out and then go ahead and prime that whole bowsprit, put the boat back in its position like this, and then I'll be able to start putting in first coat of clear gloss on all the primer that I did today. And then by that time, this should be dry from a primer perspective. I can get a clear coat on that. Once I get those clear coats on it, it's then protected, and I'm not as it's not as critical on timing. I can take 2 days between coats if I need to. I've got to get that clear gloss, preferably 2 coats over that primer within 24 hours. Took my anchor off today just so I can get to the bowsprit and bow pulpit easier. But I tell you, with the tow rails done, she is really looking better. I think I might leave the rub rail natural instead of varnishing that, but I'll keep the tow rail, the upper one, done. There we go. With that, I'm calling it a day. It's been a long one. I mean, I made a run out to the store, which gave me a break in the middle of the day, but between sanding the primer back down to bare teak, priming all the exposed teak, running to the store, getting new brushes, new primer, new drop cloths, tape, water because I needed some. Yeah, just doing all that, coming back, sanding the bowsprit, tearing up the floor where the batteries go. I mean, it's just been a lot of little things, but good stuff to get done. I wonder why I'm exhausted when these days go end. It's going to be an idea here. This is some of the work I was doing, and as I was removing those floorboards in the under the battery compartment, I pulled out some old sewer lines. I pulled out old electric wires and hoses. But you think about the number of times you go in and out of the boat. And I did the same thing. I just looked at the footage of the camera up top. From hands and knees to sanding to scooching along the side, adding coats of primer on the boat, off the boat, over and over. And it's no wonder why Sometimes my calves hurt in the morning. Yeah, it's getting older, right? It's not as easy as it once was. Good Sunday morning, everybody. It's early. It's about sunrise, and we are going to start sanding all the primed areas and getting that first coat on. Looks like there's a chance of rain this afternoon, so I'm going to get this done here as quickly as I can. All right, I went ahead and lightly sanded all of the primed area. And again, I did it very lightly. What I don't want to do is sand all the way down through the primer. I still want that chemical bond to occur. But in some cases, because it was late during the day, the heat of the wood as the temperature rises creates small little pieces of air bubbles that come up through the material. This can happen through the first few coats, and when they do, that obviously leaves a little high spot. So I'm just running the sandpaper over it to get rid of any of those little, essentially it was a bubble that formed, but you gotta get rid of those. So let me show you what it looks like here. And again, I've just 220 sandpaper, lightly sanded it by hand, and then used a clean white cloth cotton towel or like a t-shirt material to wipe all this down and get rid of the dust so I can prepare it for the first coat of clear gloss. I think I've mentioned in previous videos how it goes when you actually apply this clear gloss over the top of the primer. In our video where we applied this to our boom, I kind of gave some good step-by-steps through that one. But it really does go down on the surface pretty nice. I'm hoping I get great adhesion and a long life out of this. But you can really see what that looks like in just just the first coat. They recommend anywhere between 6 to 8 coats, but I gotta tell you, you start putting the first, second, third, and fourth on, and it starts looking really good pretty quick. So this is probably the widest section I have to apply on the entire boat. And I'm applying it to the top of the cap rail, the tow rail itself, that wide base at the bottom, and then on each of the spindles and the underside of the cap rail as well. Yep, I'm about 2/3 of the way done with the section that was primed yesterday. Need to open up a second can, but decided to take a break, wash the brush, get some of the stuff off my hands. Those gloves, man, you sweat like crazy. The sweat just drips out of them after a few minutes, so I don't want to chance any of that dripping down on any of the freshly applied finish. So every time I refill my little bucket with more gloss, I take the gloves off, dry my hands off real well, and then struggle to put a new pair of gloves on sweaty hands, which is not easy. But yeah, you can see the section that's done around that side, and then to right about where the cords are. Certainly looking good. Even just with the one coat, it's a pretty amazing difference. Here, you see if you can see the line where it goes from primed to gloss applied. Primed to gloss applied. So I'll give you a little bit of insight into doing YouTube videos while you do your work. I'm going to pull the boat over again and put the bowsprit over the dock so I can put primer on. Of course, I went over there, decided where I wanted to hook the GoPro to get sort of the background footage. Went to turn it on, and of course, Murphy's Law, SD card full. I turned on some feature a couple of weeks ago. It was thunderstorming down here, and I wanted to capture the sound a little crisper. And I noticed the thing called enhanced sound on the GoPro. So I turned it on, and now it records sound with every video and also a separate WAV file. And the WAV files are high quality, so they actually suck up a lot of space on the SD cards. I use a 64 gig SD card, and it's amazing how quickly the thing fills up. But here's a bit of that reality. So when that happens, I have two choices. I can decide, screw it, I won't get the footage, or I carry my laptop with me, and I am quickly unloading the files onto my computer so I can later import them into Final Cut Pro for editing at a later time. But I didn't want to miss out on it. So, and we do it in a very interesting place. The nearest plug, because I was almost out of battery power, sitting on top of a covered up dinghy with my extra hard drive and GoPro sitting there. Oh, and my coffee, because life doesn't really start until about the second cup. Need some of that Jeopardy music. Do 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 do. Yeah, 28 gig of 39 moving over from the card. There we go. Next scene may very well be the boat moving over. All right, so I have the bowsprit pulled all the way over here to the side. Makes it a lot easier to do the work. And if you recall yesterday, we put these spacers in here to hold this epoxy. You should be looking good. Nice and solid. I like it. It's just decorative anyway. It's a decorative piece, but it sure gives the boat some of that additional character. So I'll wipe the sweat off my forehead so it doesn't drip on anything I'm about to varnish, or prime at least. And yeah, I think it's going to be an early day today, because I gotta tell you, man, yesterday just wore me out. I was tired. With primer on the bowsprit, it was time to call it a day. I'm going to come back tomorrow and get clear gloss put on it, and things will slow down a little bit next weekend. I've got a big 5-0 birthday coming up, and Deb has arranged a wonderful weekend with a bunch of friends and family all together at a fish camp, so we'll have some footage of that next week. Hey everybody, really hope you enjoyed this week's video. Like I said, next week is going to be a lot of fun. Deb has arranged a wonderful weekend for me. I can't thank her enough. More on that as we go into the video next week, but I am thrilled about the opportunity. No boat work and just spending time with friends and family. It's going to be wonderful. If this is the type of content you guys enjoy, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, a like on the video itself. If you would, go ahead and subscribe to the video and click on that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified of any time we put up new content. And if you think others would enjoy this video, please do us a favor and share it out on social media if you would. Thanks from Gil and Deb and the kids aboard the sailing vessel Dream Chaser. Safe sailing.